Hey everyone, this is the October 30th, 2024 Effect DAO call, and we have many team members here today. So let's hand it to them to tell us the new developments.
Yes, I will. I will kick it off with the usual quick update, but we have some more to share today. So I think this DAO call will be a bit more packed, as we've discussed in Telegram. So first of all, congrats to the DAO and to everyone here, as this is cycle number 100. I realized when I looked in the dashboard, almost didn't notice. But this is the 100th cycle of the DAO, which is incredible. It means we have had over 200 weeks of governance going on in Effect Network. And we still have quite a full DAO call here today, which is, yeah, amazing. Really monumental number. So I guess we will start off with a few updates, a bit more in depth than usual. It will take a bit more time, but we'll try to do some good timekeeping so we can also cover the DAO agenda and proposals or proposal that is currently out there. And yeah, we want to make sure that we cover the whole agenda, basically, that the essential points of the agenda in the hour of the meeting. And I will also be available a bit longer after that hour to maybe go into deeper discussions on what we've covered in this call. So first off, I know that one of the important points that people are waiting for, and it is, yeah, we know it's extremely important and anticipated, is to get a roadmap out there with some dates and commitments to when things will be released. And I wanted to share that we are working hard on getting that roadmap clear and to be able to share that widely with everyone. But at the moment, we don't want to commit to any dates until we have a stronger internal alignment on what we can produce when, and like what is going to be part of specific updates that are coming out. So we will not be sharing the roadmap during this call or at this moment. But I wanted to, yeah, to share with you guys that we are working on it, and a roadmap will be shared some point soon when we have more confidence and a bit more like certainty on the dates and the deliverables that we're working on. That being said, we would like to start this series of updates with the product side. So as you all know, we're working on like an upgrade, a bigger update of the Effect network after V2, which has barely seen the light, but now we're already jumping into a big improvement on the network. And the big motivation of this, just to repeat that, as we've been discussing this over several calls now, is first of all, I think Effect Network is in a unique position, as you will see that the AI hype and boom, we strongly believe, and I think everyone here is on that same side, that this is just the start. And if we position ourselves good now within the development of artificial intelligence, that is only just taking off. I think the LLMs we're seeing now are just the beginning. We have this unique position to become one of the most important AI networks within the Web3 space. I think it's going to be one of the most important parts of the industry will be to have an open and fair network for interacting and building AI. So that's still the goal that Effect Network wants to become. And we're just extremely confident, and to reach that moment and to make that happen, we need to really look at the technology that we have, at the goals that we want to achieve, and also the ecosystem that we operate in. And part of that was that we, of course, discussed in the last months, a migration to a new ecosystem, Solana, where we're going to roll out a new improved product. And the first like foundational elements of this product have been worked on really hard last couple of weeks by Jeffrey. And I'm gonna hand him the mic now for a quick demo. I think even with a share screen, so you guys can get a very early visual of what this looks like.
Very early, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I heard sharing a screen might be a little bit hard in Discord, but I'll try my best to see if it works. So first, a little bit of backstory. Oh, first of all, thank you, Jesse, for the introduction, and very well said. A little bit of backstory about the new infrastructure, the new tech, basically what we've been working on these last few weeks. Yeah, the network is kind of transitioning into, it's becoming a permissionless, distributed peer-to-peer network for human tasks, basically. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And we're going to be using Solana as the settlement layer. So instead of using EOS as the engine of the platform, we're going to be using the blockchain, Solana in this case, as a settlement layer. The network is going to have three main components, three main actors, three main entities, which are going to be task providers, manager nodes, and worker nodes. So task providers are just going to be responsible for putting tasks on the network. The manager nodes is a new concept. They're going to be responsible for reserving tasks on the blockchain and basically delegating those tasks to available worker nodes that are available in a pool. So that's the demo that I'm going to be showing you guys. So let's see if I can quickly share my screen. Let's see, I'll do the whole screen. All right, I think you guys can see it, right? Can I get a confirmation? All right, perfect. All right, so I'll quickly open up a tab to a worker node that we've been building. So I'm now running a worker node. So I joined the worker pool. And a cool thing about this new concept is if you are a worker node, you will get a base rate of pay. So now I've joined the worker pool. I will get a constant stream of tokens basically just by being available for tasks. So as you can see, my worker node is now trying to pair up with a manager node in the peer-to-peer network, but because I'm the one running it on my local network, there's no manager yet, but I'm gonna also be the manager node for this demo. So let me quickly open that. So, and it will take a little bit. The manager node will announce itself, the worker will announce itself, and they'll try to pair. You can see it already happened. So the manager node can see the worker node. This ID belongs to this one. And you can also see that the worker node is now paired to one manager. You can even, let's say for an example purposes, I can spin up more worker nodes. And then you will be able to see that the manager node pairs with those as well. A little bit of time usually. There we go. So yeah, just a little bit about how the task flow will go. So we have the worker nodes and the manager nodes, and then the manager nodes will reserve a task on chain basically to tell other manager nodes like, hey, I'm working on this batch, don't work on it. And then they will start to manage the batch basically. They're responsible for yeah, assuring the quality is good and the tasks get done by the worker nodes. So they can send out tasks to workers basically. We'll send a task to this worker. Loop. Then you can see that the worker basically gets prompted with a task. For now, you cannot reject it yet. You can only accept the task. Once the worker accepts the task, then he can, well, this is just a simple task, just submit to complete a button. We can do that, and then we go back into waiting for tasks from more managers. But then, yeah, you kind of have to, you can kind of imagine that the manager on his side, he's managing what worker is working on which task, and once all the tasks in a batch are done, he will post the results back on chain. So it has a couple of really good advantages. We're not really using the blockchain anymore for every kind of micro task basically, but it's more global. So you reserve it once, you pull it off chain into the peer-to-peer network. There we have algorithms and consensus mechanisms to make sure that yeah, things are verified correctly. And once everything is done within the network, the results get posted back on chain. So this allows us for way more flexibility compared to the old approach, basically. Yeah, sorry if this was a little bit like hard to follow. I know that I'm very deep in this now, so for me it all makes sense. But we will of course have a white paper out about all of this, going into detail about every little detail, how everything works. But yeah, this was just my demo just to show you guys a little bit about what we're working on and what the network will eventually become once this is all working correctly. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, of course, feel free.
Do you think a manager node will have some staking requirements or something like that?
Yeah, so very good point. The manager node indeed has gonna be a big staking requirement. That's basically going to be the driving mechanism around keeping manager nodes honest, is that they have a big financial stake in the network. So we kind of have to assume on some things that they are going to be honest, but if they are not and we catch them not being honest, which we will also have mechanisms in place for, but if we do catch them, we can slash their stake, or the DAO can do this, is what ultimately is the goal, right? But yeah, very good question. And yes, they are gonna have they need to have a big stake in the network to be able to become a manager node. Yes.
So managers would serve like a few purposes in the network, right? It's a new element that will, for one, manager nodes will also be responsible for knowing like the capacity of the workforce that they're managing, and they will be able to guarantee quality of the workforce. They have quite a few tasks that they need to perform. It's something that until now was basically performed by like people from our community, like and from the team. Like Rochelle has been doing a lot of this worker management, which is a quite a big skill. Managers will, for one, be able like be responsible for making sure that the workforce is there to match the demand. They're sort of in that position where they can connect the right tasks to the right workers, and of course they will get rewards. So it's another entity in the network that you can run. You have certain responsibilities. There's quite a large staking requirement, as you are responsible for quite a bit, like work quality and all of that. And in return, the manager will also be generating an income. So it's like the network will sort of consist of a peer-to-peer network of managers in the center, and then hundreds of thousands, eventually, worker nodes on the edges that the managers are connected with in the Effect peer-to-peer network. And yeah, that's sort of the structure. So what Jeff just showed was with two entities, but there's going to be a lot more workers and then also a lot more managers all connected together to distribute that workload. And the way we see it is that we're going with what we get from here as well is that before the platform existed by, like, how it worked was we have this list of tasks, and as a worker you log in and there's nothing, and you press F5 and there's still nothing. And then at some point a requester would come and there would be like a bunch of tasks and it would go away quick. Like there was not a real good distribution of work. In this new architecture that Jeffrey just showed, every worker will, if you're ready to work, you will be online on the network and you will generate a small amount of income for just being there. You will sometimes get a heartbeat check, and a humanity check. So you have to like show that you're really there. But it means that as soon as someone posts a task to the network, that task will be delegated to someone that's online and available to work on it. So you receive like a push notification on your phone. You accept the task. You can do the work, and that requester will get like a real quick feedback on that task. And it makes it very more suitable for this day and age, how artificial intelligence is being used now. As for example, if you want to use Effect Network to basically check your LLM output for hallucinations, right? If you want to make sure that your LLM isn't, if that your chatbot isn't lying or putting out wrong information, which is a common artifact of LLMs, then this way you can send that prompt and the response to Effect Network, and you would get a reply on a very quick basis, because the workforce is already there waiting to do the task in real time. Yeah, just to illustrate a bit what the network architecture really provides.
You mentioned that so the LLM prompt is sent like somewhere. How does the manager like automatically relay it to the worker? Is it like they sign up to do like specific tasks like this?
Yeah, so the manager would have, managers would have a pretty good overview of the workforce and the capacity of the workforce. So there is on quite a few levels matching happening already in the demo from Jeff. Like when a task provider sends out a task providers are like the requesters that we have in the current platform. You will get matched to a manager that's capable of fulfilling that request. That happens like automatically in the peer-to-peer network. And this manager has an internal overview of workers and their capacity. So it has like the peer-to-peer topography of the workforce that he's connected to. So he will be able to distribute that task. It can be more than one task. So you're also able to delegate a whole batch of tasks. Perhaps like if you want to do data sets, you might delegate 10,000 tasks to a manager, and the manager will delegate that to the workforce. So managers will have to accept the requests by looking at the worker topology that they know, and the details of the task that it requested, if that makes sense.
I see. So you call it a node. So is it something like that someone's gonna host basically?
The manager node, yes. The worker node, no. So the worker node is going to be run in a browser environment. The manager node in my demo was also run in a browser environment, but for now the idea is that the manager node is hosted, so it can be run on a VPS server somewhere. Yeah.
And how do you envision managers competing with each other? Is it like first come first serve, or is there gonna be like a marketplace
Yeah.
bidding type process?
Yeah, good question. We briefly discussed this topic earlier this week, I believe, me and Jesse. And yeah, for now we settled on just a limit of how many batches a manager can manage at the same time. So for now that's one at the same time. But yeah, we have to get back on this because you don't really want to create a system where someone with a huge amount of resources can just eat up all the batches, right? But you also don't really want to disincentivize managers from, um, yeah, doing a lot more in the network, basically. So it's like a little bit of a dance that we have to figure out what is the right balance. But yeah, good question again. I think, yeah, I think for now, one batch per manager is a good yeah, it's good to aim for, I think, for demo purposes and also for maybe a first beta.
And managers kind of like, I don't know the right word for this, but it's kind of like subleasing, like send to other managers the tasks.
To other workers, yes.
No,
So there
no,
can be
to
multiple
other managers. Like the reason I'm thinking right now, say like let's say someone creates a DApp, right? Uh, like online, right? Would there be a way for
Hmm.
them to say, like, how would they be able to make money off this DApp? Um,
Yeah, so this implementation, this network, it doesn't really lend itself that much, or that at least the manager part of it, it doesn't really lend itself to people creating dApps around it, I believe. Of course, the task provider aspect is still does still very much lend it to people making dApps around it, I think, like making interfaces for it or making their own implementation. But yeah, I think the manager node, yeah, I can also not really think of a way why you would build your own implementation of it. But maybe,
Oh, the only
yeah, maybe
idea
you
I
would.
had was it would go to the manager node. Like, so you make your app, right? And you have a manager node for that app, and then that app sends the tasks to other managers. And the only reason you would do this is so you get, that bonus, that managers get, like the fraction of whatever EFX going through the system. Um, because I remember like discussing, yeah, like making sure we have incentives. So this I think is the managers is a very solid incentive for people to uh, prepare a workforce and like kind of get the ball rolling to make sure that their tasks going to the workforce getting done, they're being properly done, they're accurate, and getting them back to the requesters. But I wonder uh, if the app providers, like the app developers, should also like be incentivized in some way. So I think I'm just kind of brainstorming, but you have the other
No, that's
rest
cool.
to talk about, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, I believe on the technical aspect, the infrastructure, yeah, of course we can talk about this for hours, but yeah, we also want to keep this DAO call um yeah, a little bit intensive and I think we have another topic to discuss, which is perfect for intensity, which is the migration. I think Jesse maybe wants to share a few things about it if nobody else has anything for the tech side, for the infrastructure at least.
Just for about the dApps. So I think the dApps are just task providers because they put tasks on the network. So they would basically a dApp is in between an end user and the network with some interface. So I think that still exists in this in the same way, and similar kind of dApps would be possible in this architecture because the dApp would delegate the task to a manager, and how managers compete and how we distribute across managers, I think is an interesting conversation. I personally think that because the workload of a manager is quite heavy and it's so quality focused, that I don't think it will be very doable for managers to be responsible for a very wide variety of
Mm.
workers. I think it will be slightly more focused simply because of the sort of expertise and the quality requirements. So I think that once a task from an app goes into the network and a manager picks it up, like it needs to be accepted from both sides. So the manager must say, okay, I would like to take this, and then the provider must also pick the manager. I think that mechanism would work with and that the distribution would be quite like sort of even. Like it depends where demand comes from. If it comes from a specific type of task that needs a specific workforce, it will shift all the time. But I think that in this way, managers can quite flexibly join and leave the network and be specialized in their areas. That we will see quite an even distribution. And the app can always take a cut from whatever the end user is paying and what is has to be paid on the network. I think that's sort of the most basic solution that we're working with now. That can always be extended when once we see or when if we want to see specific behavior.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember that the team built various dApps, right? That people could use like as a self-serve model, right? They just go on the website and buy like those tasks, and then so the only thing I was thinking is like if there's a way to kind of make referrals part of the system, like incentivize someone advertising this other than the person who owns it as a referral thing. That's just something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe we can even do something indeed even more like referral based or add something cool on top. It's a good idea. Cool, but yeah, we can carry on. We're 30 minutes in the call, so if there's no questions, we can always like debate a bit after the call. In this still in Discord, but I will move on now to updates on the migration. I think it's an exciting topic. Everyone wants to hear about. So yeah, let's go into that. Sorry, one second. Sorry, I have this cough. I was sick last week and I still have a little cough. So, right. So the migration, we're still working on the blueprint, but I would like to share some more details already about what we have in mind and what we plan on sharing once the blueprint is ready. So yeah, happy to go now already into some of the details that we have in mind. None of this is yet set in stone, so all of it will of course be put on paper, shared with you guys in like an official blueprint document, and also voted on by the DAO. But the direction that we're looking in now, as we've been designing, and I'm the main person now in charge of designing that first proposal for migrating to Solana. The direction that this is going in now is, and like the first option that we see as the most beneficial, is to go for a new token on Solana and using a snapshot migration. This basically means that we will pick a point in time where we analyze the whole blockchain, so the whole EFX ecosystem, both on EOS, on Binance Smart Chain. We look at all the stakes and the stake age and like basically the whole network state, and we create a distribution of the EFX token like state at that moment in time, and distribute that to the same accounts on Solana in a similar way. So all those your EFX balance, for example, would become available to claim on Solana in a portal. You can just use your EOS wallet to get those tokens and claim them from the portal on Solana, and this would be a brand new token. And this like the migration process has quite a few details to it, but this method of doing the migration has a lot of benefits that we see already. For example, we would be able to migrate stake age and stakes. It would allow us to combine EFX and NFX in a more elegant way. I will touch on that topic a bit later. I think it's a very exciting discussion to have what happens with NFX. It's been debated in Telegram as well. And yeah, that like another big, for me, one of the most biggest upsides there is that there is no deadline to the migration if we do it this way, because the tokens are snapshotted, the balances are snapshotted and then migrated, like made available on Solana. If you have EFX, they will be available to claim on Solana. It doesn't matter how long you wait to claim. There is no like long maintenance schedule that we have to maintain, because that snapshot is made and the tokens are there. So if you compare this with, for example, a bridge that we had before, people here might remember the Neo to EOS bridge. It is a very high maintenance cost to keep that bridge live. And still, like, there's been an incredible amount of people that managed to miss the migration window, even though we did more than 2 years of migration time. A lot of people still missed it, which was unfortunate. And just the man hours of managing that bridge and providing support and keeping it open was very intensive. With this way, that would not be the case, as the snapshot would happen at one moment in time, and after that, people can claim basically forever on Solana. These are like the broad like the methodology that is going to be put into the first blueprint proposal for this migration. And then like next to the methodology, there is a ton of interesting discussions to be had on what happens with certain tokens and what happens with things like staked tokens, stake H. So those still have to be like, of course, discussed here and finalized. And I think one of the discussions we've been having so far is and in Telegram it was a hot discussion as well, whether we should merge NFX and EFX and basically go to a one token model. And maybe for now we can open up that discussion for a bit, as I think it's worth having. But I will start with my thoughts on it, and that I also see echoing in Telegram, although I might miss out on some viewpoints there. But I think a one token model is just a more easy, understandable, and more elegant solution. Even though we would still have a DAO on Solana and there would be similar mechanics there, I think one token will make it way easier for new users to participate, way easier to grok like what's happening in the network, way easier to get on board if you don't have to like think about that second token or make like decisions if you have to split your holdings into like which portions into NFX and EFX. So I think especially as we have a chance now with this migration to make these adjustments, I would say that we the ecosystem as a whole would, in my opinion, benefit a lot having one token there. For now, like, let's see if anyone has input on the EFX NFX topic and what you guys think. Also on the migration methodology, feel free to ask questions or comment, as this is a good moment to discuss what is possible.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we got a question from someone in the chat asking what will happen to the EFX on Binance Smart Chain. Maybe you can go into that a little bit, Jesse.
Yeah, of course. So the Binance Smart Chain is like, that's an official EFX token. So it would be taken also into consideration in the snapshot. So your Binance Smart Chain tokens will be claimable, like your balance of EFX on BSC will also be claimable on Solana after the snapshot, like in the same way.
What is the mechanism that allows this claiming? Is it like on a server, or like how would you, like, is it just something that you have to run on a server forever, or how does it work? Like, I guess in general.
We would, in this case, build out a smart contract that allows you to claim the tokens with your original with your original wallet. So you can use, for example, MetaMask or Anchor or any wallet that you now use for your current tokens to sign a transaction. And like there will be a little portal, but it's in a smart contract, so there won't be any server that maintains the balance, like that needs to be online for this process to work. You can just use the smart contract that will be there forever. It holds your tokens, and you can claim any amount when you want to from that contract to a Solana wallet that you choose. And there is of course a bit of nuances there that we all account for. So for example, in EOS you have some more complex key system, like you have an active and an owner key, a multi-sig. All of these cases will be like analyzed and accounted for in that system. But we have analyzed already the on-chain data, and it looks very doable, as the places where EFX can be. There's maybe going to be like 5 or 6 cases that need to be analyzed. They're very manageable, so far as we can see. So like the smart contract claiming system will be a very good fit for that distribution.
Yeah, exactly. And I see there's another question. Kind of already explained a bit by Jesse, but I will go into a bit more detail about that. The question is basically how is like my Solana wallet picked, because it's different, of course, on BNB or the EOS blockchain. But what Jesse just already said is basically by making a transaction with your original wallet, for example, your Binance Smart Chain wallet, where your EFX tokens are. Then by signing that transaction, you can basically pick your own Solana wallet. So you can say, okay, you basically prove that you own the funds from the snapshot, and then you can choose your own Solana wallet to send those tokens to. I hope that makes sense.
I see. So
Alan
basically, it's signing
comments that
something.
it doesn't look. Sorry, go ahead, DJ. Can you repeat?
Oh, I was just saying. So basically, in both cases, you have like the private key and public key related to that wallet, signing something to prove its identity, and that being enough to, send whatever is allocated for that account to like a Solana wallet.
Yeah, exactly. The smart contract will just hold a table of all the EOS wallets together with their balances, as well as the BNB wallets together with their balances. And then you just have to prove to the smart contract that you are the owner of said wallet in that table, basically. And once you prove that by signing a message or a transaction, the smart contract will give you the balance that it has mapped. That's kind of.
Yeah, and you of course need like a Solana account to make the actual transaction on Solana. Or maybe there's a solution possible with like a relay or something. But you don't even necessarily have to prove your Solana wallet where you want to send the tokens to. You could even send them to like somebody else's Solana wallet if you want. I think like the most important thing is that you prove that you are the owner of like the row in the snapshot table in the smart contract on Solana, and you can prove that by signing indeed a message or a transaction with your original wallet on the original chain, like BNB.
All right, I think.
I see like a comment from Alan about it not being straightforward. It's a good comment because it's important. Like it should be relatively straightforward, and I think we went a bit into the tech side right now straight away, but the process should be fairly simple from an end user. You basically don't have to do much. You just, when you want to claim your tokens, you log into the claiming portal and you sign and you get the tokens. That's basically what the only action that you have to do. There is like it's in essence way more simple than bridging them to the blockchain, maybe even through multiple bridges that would be required. But I get that it sounds confusing. Maybe if you feel free to comment on the parts that are worrying you when it comes to the process.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be straightforward UI wise. You just, approve something like you always do with two separate wallets.
Yeah, so I guess Jesse's right that we dove too quickly in the tech a little bit. But it will be fairly simple. It's just a site, you connect your wallet, you sign a transaction, you maybe like fill in where you want the tokens to be sent to, and that's it. So from like a user perspective, it's actually simpler than a bridge. But yeah, like we already dove into how it actually works behind the scenes with the smart contract and everything. But for the end users, they don't need to exactly know how that all works. Of course, they can just do it through the UI.
And then the other thing you mentioned, Jesse, and that's moving to one token, and that's something that the DAO has been discussing for a bit. Um, I think generally from what I've seen from DAO members, as long as it's a fair or generous or whatever people think of it, as long as it's a good amount for most people, it's satisfying going back to a one token model. As like I ask people to say like answer why we really need two tokens, and really it seems like the only real benefit is that slightly more complexity could be useful if you want, to say have a, because you wouldn't want the DAO to be too easy to join, because if a person can't figure out how to, deal with two tokens, do you necessarily want them voting on proposals? I don't know. But either way, it's not really that much of a benefit, and a lot of complexity involved with having two tokens compared to one. Oh, bye, Lawrence. So I think it's good. My opinion that is it is good to move forward. Also, like we don't want to have people like maximalists for one side, like competing with the other side. Like someone could have all NFX, someone else could have all EFX, and then they like try to push their interests, and things aren't in alignment. With a single token, everyone has the same token. Everyone is aligned in wanting the network to be better for that token. So I think the only thing left is the exchange rate. And so I think the number, like I kind of just pulled it out in my head, but the 10 EFX for one NFX, I think, is generous enough that everyone will be satisfied. Um, but also, like, I guess manageable enough for the treasury to do.
Yeah, this is a good point. I I agree. Like I think there's definitely a point where everyone can be happy with the one token migration rate. Just like if we look at the current rate of NFX EFX, we're more looking at like a 1 to 3, 1 to 4. If we decide on a 1 to 10 rate for the migration, it would mean that basically everyone would be buying up now NFX in order to get to that 110 rate, which is until that becomes the rate, right? That would be the logical thing to do. Which maybe that's also fair. Maybe we should just leave that open. If we decide that's the way to go. Is there a like 110 it sticks, right? It's a round number and it's a good idea. Is there a reason why we picked the 110? Was that like the original rate, or I was looking up the history behind it?
Well, the reason for me is because there used to be a guy named, I think his name was Steve, and he wanted, like, when the DAO first formed, he wanted to go to one token model, and I think he made like various arguments for it. But the exchange rate he wanted was 1 to 10, and maybe that just kind of had it in my mind there for a long time. And then I remember that like Alan was complaining that he bought EFX much higher than the rate it currently is, because right now it's just really illiquid, I'd say. A part of it, like, we don't really know what the rate would be on, say, Solana, because EOS already is obscure and it's hard enough figuring out how to get EFX right, so NFX is an even greater challenge. So those are like why I kind of threw that number out there, and it seems everyone is satisfied. I don't really have complicated math to justify why it should be 10, other than I felt like saying 10, and everyone seems to be happy with 10.
Makes sense. Alan says I've paid 10 to 1 many times, which is also a very fair argument.
Oh,
Cool.
man.
Yeah, I don't see any proponents either, so we can leave that. Like, yeah, I think that like I'm not against either. So let's. Alan says, if you're not going to change it and people are not satisfied, then leave it as it is.
Yeah, I think the majority is in favor of merging the two tokens. I think the exact rate of the exchange rates we will have to come back, figure out exactly what a good rate would be. I think that's not something we can figure out today, but yeah, also I think it's good to maybe move on to the proposals. I think Rochelle noted that, and then maybe discuss this after the proposals are done. Maybe that's an idea.
All right, let's go for it then.
Yeah, we can purchase. I think Ellen is arguing for not changing, like not merging to one token. I think that's more what Ellen is arguing for, if I understand. Which is also an option, of course, to just migrate two tokens. Except, yeah, it brings. I think the main argument is that it brings the confusion for new users.
Well, not just confusion, but also complexity.
I think it
for
should
the
come
user.
down to a vote whether we migrate two or we do a 1 to 10. I think that's the fair. Although NFX holders are voters, of course, but I think that's still the right way to do this.
Yeah, I agree with Mak. I think the two token model exactly is not yeah, really optimal, but I can also understand it from someone who purchased yeah, NFX when it was still a rate of 1 to 10, that it might sting a little bit. But yeah, we have to think of the future of the network, right? The future of the project, and not necessarily. Yeah, me myself, I've also made a lot of bad yeah, financial investments that are hard to recover in crypto. But I think project wise, I think for sure a one token model is has to be the future.
Well, that
I
also
think
that also
yeah, go ahead.
underlines the issue of two tokens though, because we're trying, like, what is the optimal exchange rate, of EFX or NFX? It's like it's a distraction, right? Like we should be focused on the network, right? So like I like this is what makes me strongly think we should go to one token. And like Alan isn't the only one who bought it, at 10. I have like 900,000 NFX, so I'm biased obviously for a generous rate, but also I know that uh how it feels, to not be good with timing wise, stuff like that. So I think unifying everything under one system is the ideal approach. And as regards for the trading,
And I would like to see, for example, workers that earn EFX be able to just participate in the DAO at some point, where with like if you have to buy NFX to participate, you do get. I think that the more people that vote, the better. Sort of like I don't think it should be like the argument that it's good that it's quite difficult because then you get smart people. I don't know if I agree with that argument too much. I would like to see a lot more workers in the voting on certain proposals that have impact on their on the platform that they use.
well, that was like my assessment of it. I think if a worker does it, they are smart enough to, do things already, right? To be the worker. So I think that and as you said, if they get EFX right away, they can just stake it and be able to vote right away. There's no like inner complexity of managing, another governance token. Um, well, I think the thing, I think you had other proposals to talk, so I will say this to Alan. We are voting this on as a DAO, right? It's not like this is an executive decision by the foundation. Uh, so if you have a problem, it's with the rest of the DAO, not necessarily just the foundation. Assuming, of course, the proposal passes, which it may not. That's why I think it needs to be a generous, exchange rate. Though I also, have bias because I own a lot NFX.
Yeah, and then I really think people that do vote for a dual token system really have to realize what that brings. Also project-wise, things would get delayed more. We would have to work on, yeah, what is NFX gonna do in the Solana ecosystem, right? It has no utility from the start, so it delays a lot of things. It basically pulls EFX down, and that's not good for anyone, even for NFX holders. So of course it's a DAO decision, but yeah, we have to look at it from a lot of different viewpoints, right? Not just like, oh, I have NFX to keep it basically. And I think DJ, you, yeah, you are looking at it in the right way, I think. But that's just my opinion.
All right, so did you have like new proposals on the docket, or did you want to just talk about the TikTok?
Yeah, no, I thought because official time of the call is an hour, I'm able to stick around a bit longer, but maybe we cover the current cycle, just for completeness, as it's the DAO call. Cycle number 100. It's incredible, very cool. But there is. All right, there's one in processing, right? It's there was the proposed, yeah, of course, from it was basically in cycle 100. So that one is currently in processing. It passed. I guess this has been discussed already, this proposal. I've read it and voted already as well, but it has been discussed, of course, in the last call. So yeah, not much to be said, except that the clips are very cool, and just wanted to shout out and give kudos to the awesome work done on TikTok and making those clips from the calls.
Yeah, Big Yo is making a good
I don't
point
think we have to
for
go into details here, right, DJ? Or is there any more words for the proposal 170?
Yeah, I don't think there's really much more. Miguel just, being compensated for making more clips being posted to the TikTok, and I'm sure once I post this DAO call, he'll be working on another batch of clips. Though this one is pretty, chunky. It'll be tricky, I think, to find the three most important things. Uh, but yeah, it's nothing too new.
Cool. All right. In that case, I think that we can continue the discussion on whatever people have on their minds. We were just into the NFX EFX debate. We can maybe discuss it a bit further. I mean, I think Ellen. Ellen, can I ask you, what are you not happy with the exchange rate, or not happy with, like, with the 110 exchange rate? You think it's not generous, or is just you don't like the whole concept of changing the dual token to a one token? Just for me to understand. The 3 to 1 isn't. Yeah, that's not a fair rate. I think I agree. I think that's yeah.
DJ, did you? I thought I saw in the Telegram group that you made some calculations about how much EFX it's gonna cost to buy out NFX for a 1 to 10 ratio. Did you calculate that?
Yeah, I did.
I thought,
I think I was talking with Jesse about it too, like the numbers between 70 to 82 million EFX. I don't know why. But basically, there's the NFX is staked. We know for sure that's going to be transferred. And then
Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and then there's also first we can ignore, or I don't know. There's the foundation and NFX, which originally was trans. I don't know. Did it ever happen? There's like some voting to transfer the NFX to the DAO. Um, but there's that. So I think that's like 700,000 NFX. And then there's the 500,000 NFX in the the liquidity pool. And so I know there is concern about, like, say, people like trying to what's the word for it? Buy in advance knowing it's gonna be a much higher rate, but I think that'll only be up to like maybe a couple hundred, like 200,000 NFX, maybe. I don't know. It's not gonna be that much. Uh, but those are the two other things, and then aside from that, there's just people holding NFX, which is a much smaller amount. I think in total there's almost 9 million NFX, but I'm kind of skeptical, like it will be all like transferred. So
Yeah, I have the numbers here. So there's indeed the cost of a 10-to-1 migration would be 82 million EFX. And that excludes the foundation-owned NFX. So I think they will omit in this blueprint. They will omit from claiming that for fairness. Good point, by the way, DJ. I will check in on this. That there is a pending NFX amount that should go to the DAO. That was like committed, maybe not transferred, but that should probably be part as well. So the DAO will receive that EFX if the migration happens with one token. So that's a good point. And then indeed there is 9 million NFX issued in total. And Alan asked the question in chat. There is, I think, 600,000 currently in DeFi bucks, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's an amount indeed, and people would probably, like, most of that is supplied by the foundation as well. But people will probably buy up if we decide on a 10-to-1 thing, they would buy up some NFX. But I think a problem of NFX is that it's quite illiquid. Like it's not really liquid. I think the price goes up quite quick when you buy larger amounts. That also maybe answers Mac's question. Like, it's not really fair to give the market rate right now, because if you would, like, because of it's not that liquid, and that makes it hard to you cannot really pick the market rate. And yeah, the fairness for people that bought lots of NFX when the value was high.
Well, and the other thing is NFX is also right now needed for governance, right? So you wouldn't necessarily have people pass a vote if it was not, sufficient. Like I think I would reject it too if it was 3-to-1. I would prefer just having two tokens in that case. Though I think Mac also had an earlier question of where the EFX will come from, and I think it'll have to come from the treasury. And I guess it would be introducing a lot of EFX into the supply.
True, it would introduce EFX in the supply. As we're like the model that I described earlier, the snapshot migration means that the new token introduced would be it's a new token, so we would be able to make some changes to the distribution, but I would definitely be for not changing the distribution too much, so not increasing supply or doing any big changes. It would be nice to have it come out of the treasury, perhaps even split with the fund. Like, we can figure out a way to make sure the DAO still has a healthy treasury with a vesting period that makes sense, as well as the foundation, as those are the entities that should maintain the network and make sure that that the network becomes successful. So that's important. But yeah, in the blueprint we need to define where does it come from, and probably that comes from treasuries to cover that 82 million that would be necessary for a 1-to-10. Another option that I thought about was, if we do a 1-to-10, we could introduce perhaps a vesting time on that new EFX, which means it doesn't dilute the markets at once, but maybe it takes a year or something where it slowly comes free. If there is any concern about the dilution and the quick like liquid EFX that enters the markets, for example. I would be in favor of that, although it of course is not favorable for people with a lot of NFX. So
well, for me, it as long as that NFX converted to EFX can be used for voting, it'll be just the status quo for, I think, any NFX holders, because that's what it is being used for right now to vote in the DAO. So investing.
yeah, exactly, right.
definitely,
Because now it's NFX is quite illiquid, and then if you get a 1 to 10 rate, it's quite favorable in some sense. I think fair. I don't think it's like a huge favor or something. I feel quite warmly towards that rate. Without having a lot of NFX myself, for example. So I'm not a huge but I think that's a favorable, like it's a good rate. But to make that immediately liquid is another sort of benefit. I feel maybe making it less liquid in some sense is more fair for people in general. So either making it like staked EFX that can be used for voting, or vesting or something in that regard, I think makes sense in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Alan is asking about the stake age and Mac, if this can all happen. You think before the end of the year, or you can go back to what you said earlier, where you just don't want to say any definitive dates.
Around stake age, I would like to see it migrated, but I have to admit that we haven't done the technical analysis, but I know it's possible to migrate it if the staking protocol in Solana supports it, and I think it's possible. So my intention is, and I'm the one working on that proposal right now, is to migrate stake age as well, which is only possible if we do the snapshot type of migration. If it would be a bridge, then that would be impossible. So yeah, stake age hopefully can be migrated. I think it's a nice mechanic, and I would love to see that happen as well. So that's definitely our current assumption and direction. Second question, about the timeline. Yeah, we cannot, I started this call already with a little disclaimer. We cannot commit right now to any times, but hopefully, really soon, we will post the roadmap with the main deliverables and dates that we expect them to come out. This migration mechanism is very it needs to be very clear what is going to happen, and yeah, we don't want to commit to a date right now. So cannot answer the question. I do intend to share the blueprint, basically the paper describing the whole mechanism of what happens with which tokens in a technical level and how do you claim it. And for an end user, it will be extremely simple. I think it cannot be more simple than this. But yeah, that we need to account for all stake age, stake tokens, NFX to EFX, to have that released, written down for everyone to analyze, which is basically the blueprint of that new token. How is it distributed? How does it work? That should be released at some point quite soon, definitely before the end of the year. But that will be voted on and discussed. There will be elements in there like the NFX, EFX, and some elements that need a consensus from us all. So that needs to go through a DAO vote. But yeah, sorry, I'm omitting from doing timelines right now.
Another thing to consider is, because you're going to be using the Binance Smart Chain the P tokens in the snapshot, we would want to say blacklist the P network EOS address, right? Because that's kind of doubling it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the Binance Smart Chain address, like the P tokens addresses, for example, they would not be migrated because they have their own. You're taking a snapshot of that token amount and distributing it to the holders on Binance Smart Chain. So yeah, we're gonna look at each individual sort of place where tokens are at. Like on DeFi Box, we can like a new DEX on the V account system, on the like every place where tokens can be at, we will have to take a look, and the blueprint will define that. But indeed, the P tokens or X.P tokens or something, that account will be blacklisted from the migration because that's sort of included in the Binance Smart Chain snapshot.
Then speaking of blacklisting, I think Alan and I and many other DAO members discussed this earlier, like months ago, like what to do about the KuCoin thing, because I remember that KuCoin basically, like, their terms of service says that they own the tokens now, um they basically took the tokens, and the question is like what are they gonna do with it? And so should, like, in my opinion, what KuCoin needs to do is, re-enable trading so people can get their tokens. But right, it is their property, so like I don't know, like legality wise, they can do whatever they want with it. So I wonder if, like, if we want to set up a mechanism in place where the KuCoin tokens are not part of the snapshot, they're kind of going to be blacklisted like the P network tokens. But then if KuCoin like reaches out to the DAO and is like, we want to, do things right and, enable, allow people to withdraw, then we will be able to work with them. That's like what I'm thinking with KuCoin, because I mean it's an opportunity to make sure KuCoin doesn't, kind of like do their own thing and like dump all the tokens. Because I remember a lot of people, like Alan in particular, I think was very concerned about such a thing. So I feel like we should also consider blacklisting KuCoin or maybe other sort of measures, because with an exchange like KuCoin, we could always, if they miss the snapshot, but they want to, fix things, relist the EFX, the DAO can work with them.
Yeah, it's a very fair concern. Like they have a lot of tokens, and I I know that they are not going to give that back or make that right. So the only thing I can think of is they will probably try to liquidate it at some point, which of course is very harmful because the amount of tokens is incredible. It's like it's a very large amount. So a fair concern to have, and definitely something we can discuss and account for making the plans here, I think. But yeah, I think it's a topic we can put into the discussion. Maybe have that also part of the proposal. But I do think that's definitely something that needs to be addressed going forward, as it's not a fair or pretty situation that happened with KuCoin and the distribution of the tokens there.
Yeah, Alan makes an interesting point. I guess I wonder if explicitly like saying no to an address is like different than, say, other sorts of mechanisms, like, say, like, what if we cap like the liquid amount, like a VFX you can be snapshotted. I think in the, like, there's a list of the top holders of EFX. So after the top individual holder is like 6.3 million EFX, and then above that is basically all the related EFX accounts, like the treasury, the foundation accounts, and then the stake pool, and then there's a KuCoin Rise 1-1, which is the KuCoin holders. So yeah, the other option is just limiting the liquid EFX. So basically, if you want all your EFX moved, you should stake it in the DAO. Otherwise, if you have up to a certain amount, you can have it in the snapshot. But if you have more than that, because this method would kind of like, I don't know, yeah, it's like something to think about, because we definitely want to we would definitely want to blacklist the XP tokens because it's already being accounted for in the Binance Smart Chain. And then since we're already doing that, I wonder if KuCoin should also be blacklisted. I don't know, it's a good question. Like, I think the EOS has done that where they blacklisted accounts, uh, but they like changed the blockchain. Like, this is kind of like a whole new token, so I guess in that sense, that's what's the difference. Is this is like gonna be like a new token technically, but I don't know. It's definitely something worth investigating, like the best way to do this. But I do wanna, yeah, otherwise KuCoin's gonna be like this, the phrase called like sword of Damocles, where it's always hanging above us. Like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Are they gonna make it right, or are they gonna, just sell other tokens? What are they gonna do?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think this is the time, like those top 5 wallets they're all kind of special. They're either the DAO or the foundation or the stake pool, or they are the like the bridge to Binance Smart Chain. And then there is KuCoin right in the middle there. And I think all 5 wallets should have a clear look at, like, they should have a clear, well written description in that blueprint, because they are wallets that are so big that they have a huge impact on the ecosystem and on the health of the network. And yeah, they I don't think it makes sense to blindly migrate whatever is in them. We need to think about it. And also absolutely agree. Yeah, the KuCoin wallet specifically is a very weird one, a strange one. We need to think about. I think we all have our opinions about it, but yeah, it's definitely not one that I think we blindly migrate over. That doesn't make any sense in my opinion. So yeah, great point. Let's keep that one.
Yeah, I think I'll foster this for discussion in the DAO telegrams and see what other people think, what should be done.
Okay, guys, I will also have to drop off in a little bit. I think we covered most questions, discussions. If there's anything else, please share if anyone has questions. Rochelle, if you want to add anything, feel free. We can't hear you, Rochelle, but maybe you're on the road or something. So. All right, I think then that this is the end of the call. I'm also going to sign off. Thanks everyone for the discussion. Thanks, DJ. I think this was an excellent call. Lots of content here. It's going to be a hard one to pick the highlights. But yeah, thanks everyone. Till the next one.
Have a good one. Till next time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.